We know InforOS has been around for almost 7 years. It's been around for 7 years and nobody really is using it or knows much about it. And it's definitely not being used to its full potential. InforOS is mostly new to us here in the US, and everyone is still learning what it can do and developing some best practices for implementation utilization. So we're trying to figure out what we can recommend to our clients and our partners on best practices. So there isn't really a best practices document yet. InforOS is more than just a replacement for Mingle 11, for Infor Mingle 11, and it can do a whole lot. We covered quite a bit, but we did not dive too deep into it. I'm not really sure how deep we can actually go in a session like this. There's so many various needs. One thing we do know is that by March of next year, anyone using one of the related version 11 products will be in a sustaining maintenance position. So we'll need to jump on this really soon. That being said, it really doesn't take a lot to stand up an InforOS system with some basic configuration. So later when I cover some tips in the preparing for InforOS, I'll cover what you need to know just to prepare to get ready for the InforOS platform. For now, in this lessons learned section, I'm going to just let you know what I've learned. So anyone who has installed or upgraded any Infor or Lawson product know installing most, if not all of the product is more of an art form than it is a science. I won't focus on any single product, but if you've performed any installs, you know it can go very smoothly or the opposite of very smoothly. We've had installs on 2 separate identical servers for various products where one goes almost exactly as planned, and the second one, you spend a few weeks working through issues with Infor support, only to have to re-image the server and start from scratch. This has been a reality since version 9 and continues even today, except with InforOS. I was actually pleasantly surprised that the prerequisites, when they're met and you have no errors in the prerequisite test tool, actually there's a tool you run that tests to make sure you've got the prerequisites set up correctly. And another important thing, you disable all antivirus products that are running on the server. And then when you install InforOS, it just installs and it works exactly as designed. You come up with a blank slate, meaning there's a single user in the system inside Infor Federation Services, which is part of InforOS, and no home page. You've got a blank slate. So that's when the creativity starts. That's when you can start doing what you want to do. So adding applications, both Infor and non-Infor, and creating home pages. Those are done by the administrator. So you also need to either load your users or pull them in from wherever they are located in your organization. The process from start to finish to have a basic system ready for configuration takes about a week or so. So the configuration ongoing can take anywhere from another week to several months or even a year. We'll talk about that in our tips. Again, InforOS can be very basic or it can be very complex. It's really up to you. I'm going to jump right into the 5 tips. I'm watching the clock here. We don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to move through these pretty quick so that we do have some time for questions. I will make sure you know, type your questions in the chat window. We've got Sarah Swanson or Emily Fisk are going to be in here watching these. I'm going to ask those questions if you have them. All right, 5 tips for preparing for InforOS. First one. Right now, you have an opportunity. So if you've been around Lawson, the Lawson Infor world for any time, you know that for the most part, the products are one or even several technology releases behind the rest of the world. So I totally understand there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of things we do tested when moving up from Windows Server 2008, 2012, all the way up to 2016, 2019. There's a lot of things that have to be done. on the Windows side, moving on the AIX side from 7.1 to 7.2, and as AIX progresses, even in the Linux world, there's a lot to be tested. I imagine it can be daunting. So I remember years ago when the Lawson products were not supported on virtual systems, and nobody actually really cared that. They just installed them anyway. I remember when clients moved to newer releases of Oracle and SQL Server before they were approved by Lawson and now Infor to move to. I've done many installs on newer technology before it was ready for general availability, and almost every time the product worked, the product functioned exactly as designed. So with InforOS, you don't have to worry about this. It's already running on the latest technology. So now, with the need to get away from technology that it has itself gone into extended maintenance and into virtual servers, whether you have them in-house, remotely hosted, Amazon Web Services, Google, Azure, VMware, VBox, Hyper-V, and many others, you can finally start to plan your move forward to new technology. Another tip, get all of this stuff that you have out there that's sitting around on your servers upgraded to the latest version, and make sure they're all on ADFS and ready to move forward. So we have, let me look through, I'm sorry, looking through my notes. Take that time you have, if you've got technology that's still running on the Windows Server 2008, to lift and shift this to the latest technology and the latest Lawson core technology, latest landmark technology. We've done this for clients more times than I can even count. We've even written programs to migrate the landmark IPA data from version 10 to 11, since you can't do an in-place upgrade to version 11 on Windows Server 2008. You have to do a new install on newer technology, then migrate the data. We performed hundreds of resource manager and gen migrations to make sure that a lift and shift, even on a different platform technology, is smooth and seamless. So it's possible, and a whole lot more cost effective than you'd think to do a lift and shift to new technology. So join us for our last session of the day to talk about hosting and managed services that we do at JK Seva, and to learn what other options you may have, or reach out to us directly. In a nutshell, I'd recommend taking the time now to get everything updated. I'm going to move even quicker through these next few items. Plan ahead. Make sure you've got time to plan out what you want InforOS to look like. Like I said, you can do a very basic replacement for Infor Mingle 11, Infor Federation Services, with a few items on the screen. And you can also make this a complete organization platform, but plan ahead. Don't just jump in and start designing and throwing things out there, because it's going to just be a bit overwhelming. So my recommendation for the next one says, start out small, and then go live with it. Then build on that foundation. So as you put your plan together, just plan on this basics. Plan on just a replacement for Infor Mingle 11 and for IFS 11, and if you're using document management and Ion, the replacement for that, and then start to build on the many aspects that you can within InforOS. And then know what you're getting into. I put this here because our marketing and salespeople said I had to have 5 tips, and so they put it out there, and I had to have 5 tips, and it's on the announcement, it's on everything that went out there, and I didn't have 5 tips. So you know, I bought this thinking maybe I could think of another one, but what I came up with for the 5th tip is, when you're jumping into the products that are being offered by Infor, know what it is you're getting a hold of and use it to its full capability.